bringing you key insights, tips, and advice from the brightest minds in the Canadian franchise industry. This is the Franchise Canada Chats podcast. I'm Travis Tinning.
And I'm Patrick Wyness with Franchise Growth Lab,
your guest hosts for Season 6 of the Franchise Canada Chats podcast, where we take you into the world of franchising. Our interviews are with franchisees, franchisors, and industry leaders who give you on-point expert advice and share their franchising insights and experiences.
On today's episode, we had a chance to catch up with Lexi Miles-Corin. She's the founder of WAXON Laser and Waxbar. And we were able to get into the story behind the brand name, what it takes to be a WAXON franchisee, and some of the great work that Lexi and the WAXON team do in the community.
And did you manage to talk Lexi into giving you a lifetime membership at WAXON?
That's a very good question, Travis. We actually did talk about it, but you're just going to have to keep listening to find out. Enjoy the episode. Well, welcome to Franchise Canada Chats. I'm Patrick Wyness, VP of Operational Systems at the Franchise Growth Lab, and today I'm joined by Lexi Miles-Corin, the founder of WAXON Laser and Waxbar. Lexi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Today, we really want to dive into more about WAXON, more about you, and learning more about the business. But why don't we start with, tell me a little bit more about the brand, the story behind the brand. Tell me more about WAXON.
Yeah, so we specialize in hair removal, obviously, but I started WAXON almost 10 years ago, and it came from being the exact clients that come to us today. So I always say, it was my confessions of a waxer at the time, and I used to frequent, admittedly, like the mani-pedi type places behind the shower curtain for a quick cheap wax because I was really busy traveling all the time in my consulting career at the time. And I wanted an affordable, convenient wax, but unfortunately the quality was definitely not there. And anyone who has been in my shoes, which I know is many, hence why our business has been successful today, it's not a great experience. And so in doing that and then spending some time in the States and recognizing these wax bars that had been popping up there, I saw a really great gap in the market because at the time in Canada, we didn't have anything like it. The specialization of services were pretty much only at blow dry bars. And I thought, what a great opportunity to latch onto and start my own franchise with, at the time, funny enough, a goal of, big goals in mind. I always wanted, I knew this was going to be something I was going to open multiple locations. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll open the first one. And in the first 5 years, we'll have 100 locations. We don't have 100 locations, but that's all right.
I love the goals. I love the goals. And I've heard quite a few founders say very similar. So, hey, there's plenty of time. No rush.
No. I mean, I'm happy with the pace that we've grown, and it's intentional, which I know we'll talk about a bit today. But ultimately, WAXON, we provide, the best hair removal experience every time, laser waxing. But we're so much more than that. We really are a place that embodies the culture of empowering women. Our purpose statement is that we provide, a safe space that inspires you to live more confidently in your own skin. And so that's through the education we provide to our clients through a number of different areas, the products we provide, and then of course the experience and the culture that we have. We have, some of the lowest turnover rates and for our staff, and an incredible culture to work and be part of that includes, just tremendously passionate people about what we do. So we're a lot more than just hair removal, even though, at the base, that's the core competencies of our business.
And it was interesting, and I had an opportunity to talk to some of your team members, and that's one of the things that they brought forward was the culture, and it's more than just what you guys are doing; it's how you're doing it, and so I know that's something you've taken a lot of pride into. So I definitely want to touch on that. But tell me, what was your background? You've been doing this for the last 10 years. 10 years prior to that, were you doing a lot of waxing?
No. And you don't want, no one wants me to wax anyone even today after 10 years. I actually tried, because when you're around it so often, you think it looks easy and you have a lot of respect after you try it yourself. And I'm sure anyone during COVID can appreciate that, because I know there are a lot of people at home trying hair removal on their own. And one of the things that came out of COVID was the resiliency of our business and all the clients realizing like, oh no, we need to leave it to the professionals for a reason. But I digress. So my background WAXON, I was a management consultant. So I worked in various businesses. I mean, anything from, I was in Las Vegas consulting at the MGM there, and then, which was in my 20s, spectacularly fun time, as well as very hardworking, to Yale Hospital, to insurance companies, and really looking at their business operations and how we could drive efficiencies through the business and increasing revenue, decreasing costs. So when I started WAXON, really like ultimately the convenience of the services and the offering that we would provide was something that sparked me, but also from economically, I saw this as a really great opportunity for a business to be really successful. So personally, and anyone I recommend who's starting their own business should do, similar, is from an operations perspective, I knew I had us covered, and I knew how to run a very lean system and all of that good stuff, but needed the support on, like you said, the actual waxing and training and providing that exceptional service and the client experience piece, which I have hired around me incredible people to make up for that. And that is truly what has made us so successful, is our dedication to ensuring the consistency of our client experience every time at every location, no matter who you see.
No, I love that. I love that you bring up the client experience. And when you marry the client experience, like you say, with that lean methodology and the efficiencies, that's when the business really starts to make sense.
Absolutely.
When you started this, I mean, obviously there's many options to grow locations, and when you had that big goal of growing to 100 locations, was it always franchising that came to mind, or was it, do I go corporate, do I go franchise? And then ultimately, why did you choose the franchise path?
So this has been that question has been the story of my career. Because when I started, it was like many businesses, and okay, I want to grow. How am I going to grow and scale the business? Well, of course, I'm going to franchise. But very quickly I opened, so our first location was incredibly successful. I opened our second one within a year and a half of our first, and then two more. I had 4 locations in basically 4 years. And so the business, started off and continued on really well. But what I learned very quickly was the importance of the systems and tools and support that you provide, especially when you're putting this in the hands of someone else to run. And what also came very apparent was the importance, as we mentioned, of the culture and the brand experience, the client experience, and how that truly was very near and dear to my heart to maintain that consistency from each location that we opened. And so I learned that, if I wanted to maintain that, our brand values and make sure that every location we were opening had the same person running it with the same idea, not the same person, but the person running it with the same ideas, values, et cetera, that we do, as, in our intention to start it, that a slower pace at the beginning was important. So we started off, and I opened, a bunch of franchises within a short period of time. And all of those have been incredibly successful. They're all still open today. And of, the 4 of them, they own 7 locations collectively. So they've got, or actually 3 of them own 7 locations. So multi-unit owners there. All of that is a really good story to tell. And most franchisors would probably have taken that and said, well, I've got a really great system here, and I'm just going to exploit it and scale like crazy. And instead, I took the opportunity to say, okay, so now we have some great case studies here of successful franchises. Let's take a step back, recognize the gaps in our system, our management team, training, et cetera, and where can we actually be better, so that now, today, being ready for the growth that we're about to experience and are in the midst of experiencing, now we feel 100% confident in taking on a franchisee who's investing money in a concept that we've created. And I take that to heart. I take that very seriously, and ensuring their success, and that they have the tools and everything that they need to run with it. And as long as they have like the passion and drive and are able to create that culture that we know works so well at WAXON, that they can be incredibly successful in opening their location and opening multiple locations if they please.
There's no better validation when your current partners can't wait to open the next location and do so successfully. So that's awesome. I also know in franchising, a lot of franchisors fall into this, 5, 10, 15 location trap where all of a sudden things start to implode a little bit. So it's refreshing to hear that, you've gotten to this place where you hit pause a little bit and you take a step back and you say, okay, what's working really well, what's not. Let's get really strong with it. So when we take that next run, we're all the better for that. So it's refreshing to hear, because sometimes that happens by default, and it sounds like you've made it by design. So
yeah. And I mean, there were not a lot of good things coming out of COVID, but you take your learnings, especially when personal care, we were closed for over 320 days. And the longest stretch was 7 months. And so during that stretch, I actually made the decision to keep on my entire management team. And it was this opportunity for us, which was one in a lifetime of our career for sure of WAXON, is that we actually got to work on the business. For the first time, our locations were so sadly closed, and I was devastated about that, especially for our people. But we had the opportunity to work on the business and change systems and implement, some new systems and tools and things that we knew would provide us, our locations, like to drive more revenue into them. So all of the existing locations, how do we drive more revenue and continuous revenue into those existing locations, not forgetting about them? And then how do we also provide an amazing franchising system that can allow us to scale, but allow the quality of those location openings and the success of those location openings to not be sacrificed. So it was a really unique opportunity for us to take advantage of, and we really did.
We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Did you know that Franchise Canada has a newsletter sent out twice a month that's packed full of fresh franchise opportunities?
With Franchise Canada e-news, you get new content sent directly to your inbox, and you can keep up to date on the newest episodes of the Franchise Canada Chats podcast that you're listening to right now.
Plus, you get a free subscription to Franchise Canada magazine. Subscribe now at franchisecanada.online. Now back to the episode. Through the 7 months, I can imagine that was a tough time to be closed. How did your relationship with your partners sort of grow or change over that time?
We grew so much closer. We were already very close. And with our partners and our teams, we made the decision to really lean in and lean on each other. So I wasn't coming out of the gates as a franchisor saying hey, I've got all the answers, because no one at all during this pandemic had any answers. So it was really coming together, holding hands and saying okay, we're in this. How do we continue to do our research, stay on top of whatever subsidies are available, whatever things we can be doing, and ensure that as soon as we're able to open, that we open right away, that we reopen strong, and that we get all of our clients back in and maintain our teams. And that was a big kind of coming together for us. And we returned with 95% of our employees coming back after them being out of work for almost a complete year in total between all of the lockdowns. So that was, really an effort on everyone's part of just continuously supporting one another, supporting our team members while they were out, trying to engage everyone through different means of newsletters and bringing in, coaches and things like that we could do to just maintain our culture.
No, that's awesome. And the reality is we still don't have the answers, but it sounds like you've created an environment where we're going to figure it out together, and we're going through this together.
Yeah.
Hearing the 95% of employees coming back, I think that speaks a lot to your culture, because we can see it across franchising, just I think across Canada and North America in general. Staffing is an issue. So creating that culture where people want to come back to as soon as they have that opportunity, that's a job well done for sure.
Thank you, for sure. I take that, to heart, because it's a big piece of ours, and our business is built on core values, and respect and passion is a big one for us. So we tremendously respect the people that show up every day to provide the services to our clients. I think that's, the bread and butter of our business is that training and the people that we hire in our locations, and that equals, the great success that we've had within the locations to date.
So as much over the challenge of those 7 months being closed, the reality is hair didn't stop growing. So here we come. We're getting back into it, and it's time to grow as well. Tell me a little bit about why, when you get someone looking at a franchise opportunity, why WAXON? What's the exciting component? What would get me excited about this opportunity?
I think it's the things we've touched upon so far. It's the great thing about it is specializing in one area, the ability to manage and control and see, the monetize that business is pretty great, because we're just focusing in one area, and that's what makes it a very appealing business model. But then, the people that we want as franchise partners at WAXON and that make for great franchise partners are the ones that also love all of the other things. And we have all of our franchise partners there, ex-lawyers, we have, ex-marketing professionals, producers. We have some stay-at-home moms that have just decided for the first time in their life, like, to do something for themselves and pursue their dreams and make their dreams come true. And then we have, empty nesters who all of a sudden are like twiddling their thumbs. What am I going to do next? And want to embark on this. But they all share one thing, and it's an amazing passion for empowering women. It's truly around like the foundation of what we do. We obviously service a lot of men in our locations, but predominantly our service offerings are female, and all of our employees are women. We have 150 women at WAXON. So they have a passion for, building careers within their locations and providing that amazing experience to their clients, as well as to the people that work for them, and creating something for themselves. And what, when we talk about how I've taken pauses in franchising and going back to your corporate versus franchise growth, oftentimes I thought, maybe I will just do this on my own and open more corporate locations, because I love opening them. It's a lot of fun. I love owning locations. I own 6 of them still. And I'll probably continue to open alongside our franchise partners, because I think it's important for me to stay in the game and know what they're going through while they're going through it. Had I not had locations for myself during COVID, that would have been a challenge. But with, us opening and them opening new locations, it's just, they all share this, passion for their team. And what brought me back to franchising was really the idea that I get to bring this amazing opportunity to, predominantly, given all of our franchise partners to date right now are women, to women who have this dream of being an entrepreneur, and they want to do something on their own, but they want a support system around them to do it. And I love that. I love the ability to empower women to take that leap and pursue those dreams and leave a job that you're not passionate about because you'd rather do something on your own, and you know that you could be a really good leader, but you just need the support to do it. And that's what we provide through our franchise system.
No, I love it. When I think of franchising in general, I've been pretty fortunate to be a part of some amazing brands that have a very strong contingent of women leadership, women franchise partners. But when I'm not going to lie, when I go to some franchising events, especially big ones in North America, there's a lot of guys there. It's not that balanced. So it's great to hear that, it's not mandatory, but let's see what we can do here to have more women business owners step up and be able to give back in their community.
And women are amazing business owners. Like, just on intuition alone, they make incredible, and the empathy that we have, they, really have the ability to build and grow the greatest teams and the most successful businesses. So I love the ability to be able to like back that through a business that I built.
I love that. You talked a little bit about the support system, and I know when you have prospects that are looking into franchising and unsure, one of the biggest questions they always have is, how are you going to help me? I've never done this before. A lot of times franchise partners have never run a business before. This is their first jump into it. Can you talk to me a little bit about the support in where you guys really focus on the help?
Yeah, I mean, we don't focus in one area because we're alongside them the entire process, from day one, and scouting at real estate into the project management piece. We actually have a project manager that works exclusively with them, making sure that the build out goes successfully, ensuring that we basically kind of hand over the keys at the end of it to, it's like WAXON in a box, kind of like we've got it all figured out there. So there's not a lot of places where you need to be thinking about anything else during those beginning process. Of course, we want people's, buy-in, and we need them to be really excited about where their location is and all of that. But we really want our franchise partners focused on, from day one, like learning the operations and how to hire the best team and how to actually like get the business off the ground from day one. So we support so much in the pre-work of like just the construction, real estate, all of that phase. And then alongside that timeline, we're training from day one through, our guides on how to actually run this business successfully. And then also have an incredible training program for the staff that we use within our corporate locations from day one. Obviously is continuously being modified, but we ensure that any like waxologist, laserologist, they can't even see a client until they pass X number of tests, X number of models, et cetera. And that all comes back to like providing that quality of service. So all the way throughout, and then following the opening, and then beyond, we have like support plans and people in place at all times. And we really hold hands together during that pre-launch, into launch, and opening, and then beyond, because honestly, a lot of the stuff just comes up after you open and you're in it and you're recognizing, oh my gosh, like, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in this situation? And the best part is, because we've taken the time and have done the work, I've made all the mistakes already. Like I've gone through everything. And especially now going through a pandemic, like our teams really know how to support and how to run a successful business. And so, I always say the most successful franchise partners are the ones that really truly believe and trust in us and following the systems that we've, have found to be successful. And when they do that, it works. So it's really like a joint effort, though. We hold hands throughout the entire process.
I always say to prospective franchise partners, you don't want to look for the system that tells you they've done everything right from day one.
Oh.
You want to look for the system that will fully admit, we made a ton of mistakes.
Oh, all of them. All of them.
Learn from us so you don't make the same ones.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's a benefit of a steady growth business versus me having opened 100 locations in 5 years. Like that would have been a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. It's, we call it the science of scale, and it's all about trying to figure out how do you get to the 100 as efficiently as possible, not as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible, without going crazy. What advice would you have for someone that's thinking about dipping their toes into becoming an entrepreneur? Like I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure. I mean, you've obviously successfully made the leap from a management consultant, a corporate career, into the craziness of entrepreneurship. What advice would you give for someone that's thinking about that?
So first off, following your passion. I truly believe you can't be a top performer in anything you do, whether it's running your own business, whether it's working in someone else's business, unless you are really passionate about it. So that's first and foremost. I think it's so important to be really humble and willing to recognize your weaknesses And if you can, and similar to us saying like, we've made all the mistakes and now we know what to do and what not to do, it's the same thing. And vulnerability is a really big thing that we promote within WAXON, and being humble and saying when you make mistakes and improving on those. And I think that's really important in making a decision to start your own business or buy into one, is knowing what you need to surround yourself with to be successful. So that's the second. Trust your intuition and your gut. Anytime I've gone against my gut, it's been a terrible, terrible mistake. And surround yourself with an incredible team. And those are my like live and breathe. I couldn't have ever built an amazing, built a successful business without having done that. And the team is far beyond what I could have imagined. And it's brought us the most amount of success in being able to continue to grow and grow effectively, because, they make up for those weaknesses, and they're also going to push you to work and motivate you to be better.
When starting out, I mean, when someone's thinking about going down this path, they don't yet have that team, but they don't necessarily have to do it alone. There's a lot of people out there, friends, family, mentors. Has there been anybody, that stands out for you when you were thinking about this? Or, what should potential entrepreneurs be looking for as far as who should they talk to?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And for me, it's been different people at different moments in time and continuously, right? Like ongoing. But when you're starting out, and team also, as you said that, like team doesn't mean the people you necessarily hire. It's just like that group that you surround yourself with. And what's really important, and I forgot to mention, is believing in yourself. And what you need to do is provide yourself with a circle around you of people that are not questioning your motives of what you want to do, but supporting that. And that being very important to being able to continue to push yourself forward and make those key decisions at the moments in time you need to make them, to make the leap into running your own business, right? Because there's these like key milestones that you're going to have to come across where you need to sign the dotted line. And if you don't have a strong support system around you to help push you forward and are questioning you instead, you're not going to make that leap. But then lastly, like in terms of mentors and people, I think it comes back to like where you recognize your weaknesses. So, for me, it's like bringing on a really good accountant at the beginning. As soon as I thought about this, it's like, get a good accountant, because that's just not something I'm as great at. And branding and marketing, like that was something I filled in the gap with. So you don't have to have and build an entire team around you that is employees that are working for you nonstop, but try and consult with people who are specialists in those types of fields where you have weaknesses. And then that will help you to build those building blocks and confidence, especially that you need in going into making the decision to move forward with whether it's your own business or investing in a franchise.
And part of that is the vulnerability of knowing where you're not as strong. And like you said, and I've seen this with a lot of franchisors. Yes, please find a good accountant early on, please.
It's so true. It really is. Just do it.
Just do it. So one of the things that I really love about franchising is you have this opportunity to marry a national brand, a big brand with local ownership that's part of the community and able to give back to the community. Now at WAXON, you take that a step further. Tell me a little bit about some of the community organizations that you're really passionate about and ultimately give back to.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, it's important both on the local level. So we, promote our franchise partners and being part of whatever, communities that they think are really important and to them. But also as a brand, it's really important, and we're super passionate about giving back. So we've recently teamed up with, and we'll be announcing soon in the next coming months, a really great partnership with One Girl Can. And it's a amazing organization that helps to basically take girls in Kenya from schooling into their university careers and then actually career placement. And for our teams and providing a percentage of sales from WAXON to give back to an organization for this, and our franchise partners, like you can actually see the difference that you're making. You're putting a girl through school for every X amount of dollars. You're buying her a laptop, you're buying her this. And it's a really tangible thing that we can look back on and see the real impact that we've made. And it's an organization where our dollars go directly to the girls. And that's really important to us. We've also made a very, conscious effort of ensuring that we focus at WAXON on diversity inclusion, ensuring that we're an anti-racist culture, that our teams internally know, and we've brought people in to coach them on knowing how to deal with harassment and racism and diversity inclusion issues within the workplace, as well as working to ensure that us as a brand are very inclusive and that we're educated on how to work with clients who are transitioning, or just ensuring that we stand to our purpose statement, which is inspiring, creating a safe space and inspiring you to live more confidently in your own skin. And that all comes back to all of these pieces. So we've supported a lot of organizations through our diversity inclusion, and one being Black Women in Motion as well, throughout any, months to months, and just any type of give back type thing that we can be involved in. It's something that our teams are really passionate about and we love to be a part of.
And it sounds like, in what I see, this is something you've been passionate about day one. This is not something that started recently. This is from, like I say, day one.
Yeah. And it comes back, like, especially One Girl Can, it comes back to like what makes me click, and it's empowering women, right? So that's, really core at our culture, and that is why we've married ourselves to such an amazing organization.
One of the things that, talking to a lot of franchise partners that I've worked with that are female, something that's come up time and time again, it's like, I couldn't do this earlier because I wanted to start a family. I wanted to wait. I felt I needed to wait. I was told I had to wait in one way or another. Now, I'd love to get your thoughts on this because, you've started this whole thing. You're not waiting for anything.
Yeah, well, no. And we were chatting, and I'm expecting twins, and I have a 3.5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So we're going to have 4 and under. So I am a very big believer in not waiting. There's never going to be a good time. And I think a lot of people use that, especially when entering into a business of your own. You can use that as a very easy excuse and an out for yourself, especially as a woman. But there's so much, like, women can take on far more than you can ever imagine. And I was, telling you that Clark, my son, was born 3 days before the pandemic, before the lockdown. And that was, owning a business and feeling the responsibility of all these people and employees and franchise partners, et cetera, and having a newborn. Like, that's a lot. But we can do amazing things. And I don't think that I think that oftentimes it's used as an excuse, and that we should just go for it, do it, ensure you have the support that you need around you, because we're capable of a lot more than we give ourselves credit for.
And I'll agree with that because I see what my wife has done. I'll shout out to my wife, who also we have twins as well, as we were talking about. So she can do amazing things. So
yeah. And I mean, with our management team at WAXON also, we have created a culture where I have a lot of our team members being women, obviously, they're going on mat leave, and we've created a culture where I want them to be able to come back to work part-time if they want, or figure out how to do both so that they're not having to sacrifice their careers while wanting to enjoy the benefits and all the amazing things that come with motherhood. And so I would say the same thing to someone who was wanting to start their business. Like, you can find supportive brands like ours who can understand and appreciate what it's like to have a family and also want to prioritize your own career and your dreams and not have to choose one.
Absolutely. So I know one of the questions that a ton of people probably have right now are they're wondering if I personally am a WAXON client. I mean, that's
well, I was wondering. I mean,
yeah, well, exactly.
I have it as like I won't take an interview unless you've come to WAXON. So, or we'll go afterwards.
Oh, well, okay, then we're gonna have to go afterwards. And the caveat is, unfortunately, I'm not in Ontario. I'm on the West Coast. So that brings me to my next question. You know, you're looking to grow. Where are you looking to grow? Are we going to have someone out here for me to go visit anytime soon?
Definitely. No, Vancouver is high on our list for sure. I mean, we always say, you know, we're going to be, you know, we look to achieve WAXON world domination. So that's our vision, but absolutely, like across Canada, is in the very near future in our expansion plans. We're looking for Vancouver, we're looking in Winnipeg. We have a location in Halifax. Yeah, we want to be, you know, coast to coast.
Love it. So I do have one last question to put you on the spot here, and we haven't discussed this one at all prior.
Amazing.
So the name of the business.
Yeah.
I hear your brother's taking credit for this.
You know, what's funny is we were, probably a little bit. We were, in all honesty, my brother I have two older brothers. My brother went to Michigan State University. So we were actually tailgating because when I started WAXON, by the way, I was 25 years old when I opened the location. So we were tailgating. It was a big game, U of M, MSU, like rivals. And I started talking about this idea of me wanting to open a WAXON or a Waxbar chain of Waxbars in Canada. And I was with my dad and my brothers, and they were like, oh yeah, that's an awesome idea. Like, you definitely need to do this. And we were kind of, you know, throwing it around a bit. And yeah, my brother, Mr. Miyagi'd me, he just threw it out there. He's like, wax on, wax off. And that's it. Like, it was the easiest, honestly, the name was the easiest part of the entire business. Everything else, building the business plan and all of that, a lot more work, but the name just came like that. So he likes to take credit for it, but, and I guess I'll give it to him.
So it's not a childhood crush on Ralph Macchio?
Shockingly, no.
No. Well, I love it.
Maybe surprised. Yeah.
All right. Well, Lexi, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. Really appreciate you sharing your story, sharing more about yourself, and, you know, letting people know more about WAXON. And if they're thinking about it, to your words, to do it. Don't wait. Just get out there and move forward. So thank you so much. And I look forward to being a client in sooner than later.
I'm holding you to it. I'll reach out as soon as we're opening, and you will be, we'll get you in.
But you've also told me to make sure it's not you that's doing it. So I'll be sure of that.
Definitely not. No, I'm not allowed to wax anyone. That's for sure.
All right, Lexi, thank you so much, and all the best.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. For more franchising resources, including how-to articles, expert advice, franchisee success stories, and franchise opportunities, visit franchisecanada.online. Don't forget to subscribe to Franchise Canada e-news while you're there. You can also learn more about franchising at cfa.ca and connect with specific franchise opportunities at lookforafranchise.ca.